Permit 20 minutes.
Chair, very generous.
Thank you.
Chair, can I start where Ms. Hassam ended, that there's apparently been no reply to the Commission's experts' report. You'll find that reply at paragraph 16 of the replying affidavit at pages 334 to 335, which I'm not going to read for obvious reasons, except to please point your specific attention to what is said at paragraph 335, on page 335 at paragraph 17 and paragraph 18. Because with all due respect, several inaccuracies have been raised about the quality of the affidavits and the reports presented by the treating doctor. And even though my learned friend says that the Commission is not impugning the treating doctor, in effect, that's exactly what they're doing, both his bona fides and his clinical expertise. And in the affidavit that is filed in those paragraphs and pages I referred you to, and that it's confirmed by the doctor himself, that's the full answer. In fact, what our doctor says in response to their doctor, if I can use that phraseology, is that it actually confirms our doctor's position, which is if there's going to be any such interposition, that our doctor has to be involved in that process. And in fact, if we read their doctor's report, their doctor says exactly the same thing in terms. If I'm not mistaken, at paginated page 129 and paginated page 130, this is of their doctor's report. He actually says the following: the Commission should even advise the independent doctor that the treating doctor is the treating doctor, wishes to be engaged by the independent doctor. And he goes on to say, in my experience, I have done something similar. He goes on to say at page 130, it is my opinion that the engagement between the independent doctor and the treating doctor should occur before the interview by the treating doctor, the independent doctor, so that the independent doctor understands the treatment plan, etc. So the point is, and this chair goes to that IME forensic distinction, is to say the kind of exercise that the Commission's doctor is speaking to is a different exercise to be performed by an independent clinician. Our doctor has never pretended once to be performing an independent medical assessment inquiry. He is the treating doctor, and he's giving his clinical opinions. And this report does not dislodge that. All it says is that if there's going to be the subsequent process, this is how it must occur. And whilst I'm there, in response to this question about the instructions and why was it never responded to voluntarily or not voluntarily, when Chair and the Commissioners read the correspondence bundle, you'll read the correspondence bundle at page 123, going on to page 124. And at page 123, all I'll emphasize is that paragraph 10.1, which says, before our client takes a final position on the Commission's request for independent examination, the evidence leaders are required to identify a series of things, and then over the page, it goes on to 10.2. I only highlight that because it's not as if it's accurate to say that there's been no response. Consistent, Chair, with the debate that we've had before, can it be voluntary? Can it be compulsory? Do you have a power to even order a voluntary one? Those are what those questions are directed to. And with all due respect to the Commission and the evidence leaders, there hasn't been a response to that. So never mind what I put on the record earlier regarding the medical incident of my client when an instruction was to be taken. It's actually the evidence leaders who haven't responded materially to those questions, which my client expressly says through his attorneys will allow us to take a final position on this question of the medical examination. Because of course, Chair, if there are insufficient answers to those questions, particularly the question at 10.2 in bold, which is on page 124, statutory authority, it doesn't matter whether it's voluntary or compelled. If you don't have the power, you don't have the power. That's an ultra vires question, admin law 101. So on the question of whether there's this medical exam or not, that's the fullness of the answer.
That's exactly the level at which you and I engaged the virus
Correct.
question. Is there a power?
Correct.
And in a sense, once that issue is raised, you have no power. That would supersede or not the conditionalities at page 123.
Correct. It would. But the point that I would make in that regard is that if the Commission believes it has the power, then it must exercise its power and do so. But we can't be caught in an endless loop where the question is asked, where's your power? There's no direct answer, and then you get accused of not answering the question or giving a position where knowing the source of the power is a fundamental issue that requires clarification. And obviously, if the Commission decides it has the power and makes such a directive, and there's a challenge to be raised to that power and the exercise of the power, then the challenge will be raised. But it's all this indirect inferential reasoning rather than directly dealing with the issues that I'm raising here in the context of what I've just flagged with you, Chair. That takes care of a few of my submissions. Let me move on to the next few. What my learned friend said at the beginning of her address is that it's an extraordinary claim that we've made that our client is unable to give the information that was sought as far back as March. Now, I'm not going to argue the point. I'm just going to direct your attention to medical opinion, which has not been contradicted. The first of that medical opinion you'll find at page 37 of the record, paragraph 26. And I would emphasize that when you read, look at what it says as lines 2, 3, and 4, starting with it materially and ending with the words identified triggers. That's medical clinical opinion as to what or why the information can't be given.
Mr. Premier, this doctor only saw your client from when? Because the period from March until 13 April, he cannot express an opinion on that. He simply does not know what the position was. He was not there.
I'll respond to you in 1 second, Commissioner Khumalo, if I may. Commissioner Khumalo, I've asked Ms. Madlanga to find a particular reference for me that answers your question, because my understanding of the doctor's position is that the phenomenon the doctor observed, diagnosed, and treated after he came on board as the treating doctor suggests that actually the condition could have arisen and materially impacted Mr. Karim even prior to when it was diagnosed and treated thereafter. So I accept your
but that's speculation.
Well, and with all due respect, I'm not sure if you can say that having regard to what the doctor has himself said, but be that as it may, if it's speculation or if it's not speculation, that can be tested. And the point of the matter is the doctor's view is that what I've observed from the incident when I came on board onwards suggests to me a long-term medical issue which may have impacted things before. I can't take it further than that. So I gave you the first reference to page 37, paragraph 26. The other reference I'll give you is on page 96 at paragraph 51. And I would ask you to start reading from about midway in that paragraph. In the 8th line, when it starts with the word when. And I would ask you to read after that next sentence in the 9th line that starts in a state of blank, and then it goes on to speak what a consequence of his giving information in those situations might result insofar as accuracy, reliability, recall, or anything else is concerned.
At what line do you stop? Below when? Below the line starting when? At which line do
I'm
you
saying
stop?
the entire paragraph, but I
Oh.
was emphasizing
Oh,
those
okay.
particular portions, the one starting when, the one starting in a state of blank,
Okay.
and then the next one that starts with any information. The last reference, or second last reference I'll give you, is at paginated pages 48 and 49. I think we've been here already, we've gone through these paragraphs. I'll just give you the places where I would like your attention, please. Just look at what is said in paragraph 65 at the end of paginated page 48 that starts with, I had raised this concern. And what he says at the end of that page, interaction, words, 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 until the full stop. And then I would say when you're looking at page 49 at the top, still paragraph 65, look at what is in the third last line that starts with rather, and what the conclusion is regarding any information that may have been given or may have been procured. Whilst you're at page 48, 49, please also look at paragraph 63, and then what follows. Commissioner Kumalo, I say expressly, I don't think that answers the challenge in the way that you put it to me, but I've asked Ms. Madlanga to find that reference. The pressure is on her now.
From 4 May, I get it.
Yes.
But from
No.
March, April.
I know. But what he does not say, importantly, is that the phenomenon only started on 4 May onwards, because it's an ongoing phenomenon that he's treating. But I take the point, and that's the response to you. You've already heard me on, are we impugning the doctor or aren't we impugning the doctor? May I just say this? This doctor has made himself available to the Commission in numerous instances. And the peculiarity of what we're dealing with here is, if you took one step back from listening to my learned friend's submissions and my submissions about who's expert and whose expert is correct, or whose one's medical opinion is of greater validity, you would almost be in a situation where we were in a trial where you were cross-examining two experts and running two experts' evidence against each other. As in expert against expert, not even expert against expert in respect of Mr. Karim himself. The only reason I point to that is that if that's the Commission's real concern, then the elephant in the room is they think that the doctor is a liar, and they have the weaponry available to them to test whether he's a liar. And all these inaccuracies, whether they're of a material kind or not a material kind, I see Chair is getting ready, maybe I should stop.
Please, you overdo this thing of reading what a person does. I mean, should I not lean over? Should I not place my hand on my file? Please, Mr. Premier.
Oh, sorry, Chair, I thought you were going to engage me on what I was saying. That's why I preemptively stopped. I also have the other problem when the judge is trying to intervene and I don't then yield.
I remember at the Constitutional Court you reacted to two of my facial expressions.
Yes, indeed. But I don't mind that because you found for me on that occasion, so that's fine, Chair. Unlike what happened in the interdict yesterday, but that's besides the point. Chair, what I'm saying is that if this doctor is so unreliable, or his evidence is so open to doubt and to question, why on earth would this doctor under oath volunteer himself to come and give evidence and be cross-examined under oath? The approach of the Commission, with all due respect, has not been to take a benign or neutral position towards Mr. Karim, the deponents of Mr. Karim's affidavits, and even the treating doctor. it's been that, and I'm speaking in forceful language, but I preface what I'm about to say with the fact that my learned friend didn't put it in these terms, but this is the conclusion. And we must call it out for what it is. In their view, the evidence leaders' view, Mr. Karim is avoiding accountability at all costs. He's using the deponents of the affidavits and treating clinicians to aid him in order to do so. And that's why they want to unpick, with all due respect, the most direct medical evidence in front of the Commission in order to go after Mr. Karim. But the one thing they haven't done is they haven't called the doctor to be cross-examined by them, and he's volunteered himself to do so. So that's why this weird world in which we exist, with all due respect, is a difficult one for Mr. Karim's legal team to have to engage in, because even when the doctor volunteers himself, instead of bringing a rebuttal witness to directly deal with his clinical views, which is a possibility they could have done, or by calling him through a subpoena to come give evidence in camera and be cross-examined, they want to put up all kinds of geolocation data and CCTV footage to impugn the doctor's medical views through the back door where there's no clinical basis to do so.
No, Mr. Pramit, I think it's grossly unfair that you would formulate the position of the evidence leaders to impugn the medical opinion. They are lay people. They're lay people. They could never pretend to do that, and I've not understood them to be doing that. That is different to speaking to the facts alleged by the doctor. When the doctor says the hospital protocol is that you can only leave in two circumstances, that's not a medical view that he has expressed. He's alleging a fact, and it's relevant information to be brought to the attention of the commissioners through the commissioners through the evidence leaders, and the geolocation material. As Ms. Hassan says, what has always been the impression is that Mr. Karim is in hospital. He's confined to a hospital, right? And once there was information that, in fact, he doesn't spend all his hours in a hospital, that's relevant information to be brought to the commission. So you have absolutely no basis to criticize the evidence leader's position as being to impugn the medical opinions of the medical conclusions and opinion of the doctor. I would be shocked if that's what they were doing.
Me too, with all due respect.
My first question would have, and that's not what is in the papers. My first question to Ms. Hassim would have been, on what basis? In the same way, in fact, that I would like to ask the question, the deponent to the replying affidavit is a lay person. On what basis could she pretend to answer the commission's expert views, as you have referred us to a paragraph, right? Is that an answer really? In response to the concern raised by Ms. Hassan that there is no reply or answer to the Commission's expert. So let's not fudge things for whatever purpose we're seeking to achieve. As I see it, or as I understand it, the simple position is this: there are certain facts that have been relied upon by the deponent to the affidavits of Mr. Karim, supported by the doctor's affidavit. All that has happened is to answer those factual or to raise issue with the facts as set out, and none of it speaks to the medical conclusions. I differ with you there. Maybe my co-commissioners agree with you, but I differ with you. I do not see that.
I actually agree with Commissioner Baloyi. What the evidence leaders have done is to say Mr. Karim must be subjected to an assessment by an independent doctor. And that's exactly because they, as evidence leaders, cannot purport to contradict the Mr. Karim's doctor's opinion. That is why there's this insistence on let Mr. Karim be subjected to an assessment by, it would be that independent doctor that would counter all of the clinical conclusions reached by Mr. Karim's doctor. So at this stage, the point you make has not been reached, at least not on my understanding.
Well, but that...
Yes.
Sorry.
But of course, a point is made, but on what Commissioner Baloyi refers to as facts. A point has been made that with regard to those facts, even what Mr. Karim's doctor says, there has been a shifting
Yes.
of the goalposts, even by the doctor
Yes.
himself. That's a factual issue, and the evidence leaders are perfectly entitled to challenge the doctor on that.
I accept that, but then I would ask, my next question would be to what end and to what purpose? Because on the question of factual discrepancies, both of the deponents to the affidavit full square deal with the circumstances under which they were expected to depose to affidavits and the pressurized circumstances that they had to deal with various issues. And that's explained at pages 75, 76 for the one deponent, and with the other deponent, specifically on the medical records issue, you'll find that at 84, 85, and 86. So if there's an issue about the facts, so to speak, and the conclusions or the inferences that the commissioners are being invited to make as a result of these so-called inaccuracies, there's actually an explanation.
They are not so-called. They are inaccuracies, and Mr. Karim's case, as we sit here, actually accepts those, that they are in fact inaccuracies. Hence the shifting of goalposts. So they are not so-called.
I withdraw the word so-called. To the extent that there are inaccuracies on the papers, they're dealt with fully, and the surrounding circumstances around how those inaccuracies arose are fully dealt with. It's not uncommon in urgent applications, for example, that sometimes a deponent doesn't fully remember what it is they otherwise ought to have remembered. And it's only when they are advised of something in an answering affidavit that then in the reply they give the fuller account and context because of the pressured circumstances in which they were deposing. So all I'm saying is that let's accept the inaccuracies are for what they are. It's maybe unfair is too strong a word, but it's unfortunate to draw any adverse inference by the mere fact of those inaccuracies in circumstances where there's also an attempt to explain how those inaccuracies arose. But to the extent then those inaccuracies relate to movement and what can be said about Mr. Karim's medical condition as a consequence of the facts of that movement, it's not a purely factual inquiry, because what the doctor says in terms at paginated page 44 of the papers, at paragraphs 49 and 50, is he says that the danger in analyzing the facts of those movements would potentially lead you to draw an inaccurate clinical conclusion, because the fact of those movements is not necessarily antithetical to the treatment he's receiving. In fact, in another part of the affidavit, he actually says that it might form part of the therapy process. So I accept what Commissioner Baloyi puts to me. Commissioner Baloyi rightfully says that they're not impugning his clinical diagnosis, they're just relying on these factual issues to say there's a problem here, and I'm being loose in my language. And so let's accept that there's a problem here, and then say what's the clinical opinion in respect of that so-called problem that's on the papers in front of you and not challenged. And that's what the doctor warns the commissioners from drawing an inappropriate conclusion on, that those mere facts are elevated to considerations that impugn, or not even impugn, that open to doubt the clinical diagnosis, even if that's not the direct intention of disputing those facts. And what the doctor's evidence is regarding those facts is that they are what they are, and they might be what they might be. But you can't draw in, based purely on those facts, You must be very careful in what conclusion you draw, and I'll put it no higher than that. So I think that's where Commissioner Baloy, I was dealing more with the conclusion and the conclusions to be drawn from those facts, whereas I think, Commissioner Baloy, you were focusing on those facts themselves, and I hope I've attempted to answer you in both respects why there's a danger in the exercise that we were just going through. Yes. Oh. I thought Ms. Madlanga had something for me. She doesn't. So that's on the issue of are we impugning or are we not impugning, and to what extent are we impugning? Just, Commissioner Baloy, one thing that you raised, which is correct, the deponent is a layperson. What business does she have engaging with the report? If I'm not mistaken, there has or should have been a signed confirmatory affidavit from the treating doctor in respect of the content of the replying affidavit, and even if it doesn't say it in terms, I consulted with the doctor on X, Y, and Z, and he tells me, here's the response. I would ask, in a generous reading of that replying affidavit and the fact that it's confirmed by the doctor, that the so-called medical responses are medical responses from a non-medical person, but confirmed by the medical person themselves. It's not just the deponent offering her own opinion or thoughts influenced by the legal team or anybody else. So that, Commissioner Baloy, I hope is a satisfactory response on those particular issues. Chair, I think I've dealt with everything that I need to. Might I just take an instruction, please? Oh, yes. I'm indebted to Ms. Madlanga. Commissioner Khumalo, back to our debate about the timeline and the date and when it started and everything else. The reference I had in mind starts on paginated page 36. It's the heading you'll see there under paragraph 18. And then through you, Chair, Commissioner Khumalo, over the next page, well, it starts at the bottom at paragraph 22.
18 says exactly what I said.
Yes, agreed. And then I'm asking you to read 22 at the bottom of that same page, particularly where it says health conditions appear to predate the commission. It then talks about his history. And over the page on page 37, I would say that I would draw your attention to the last line, starting 3 lines from the bottom on page 37, paragraph 22. It starts with, I emphasize this because the underlying blank, blank, blank. I know that might not be satisfactory to your question. I'm just giving you the reference that I had in mind when I answered your question.
It's also factually incorrect.